So Manchester United have been heavily linked with Borussia Dortmund's 24-year-old German central midfielder Felix Nmecha, who is reportedly valued at around £42 million. And so in this video I'm going to be answering the questions: is Nmecha good enough or the right style of player for what Amorim's midfield needs? What can we learn about him from his FBref report? How would Nmecha improve Amorim's system tactically? And is he worth the £40 million fee? And are there cheaper or better alternatives? So starting off, I have said in previous videos that Ederson from Atlantis would be my first choice central midfield target for Manchester United this summer. I'll leave that video linked in the eye above if you do want to check it out. So considering Ederson would cost between 45 to 50 million pounds most likely, if Nmecha is going to cost 42 million pounds, I'd rather just pay a bit extra for Ederson. But for the sake of the video, let's assume that Ederson goes somewhere else or just isn't available. Is Nmecha a viable stylistic alternative? Well, he certainly isn't the same style of central midfielder as Ederson, as I don't think he quite has the same speed over medium to longer distances as Ederson, but not many central midfielders do. But he isn't exactly slow or immobile either. Defensively, however, I think Ederson's mixture of speed, robust physicality and tackling ability would make him a superior option from a defensive point of view, as would Hichem Boudoui's skill set as well, who was one of the alternatives to Ederson that I mentioned in another video, so I'll leave that video linked in the eye above as well. However, to be fair, this really isn't Nmecha's game, as he's far more valuable in possession, and I'm going to break down exactly why in just a minute. But before I do, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to dragonjersey.com. They've got a variety of different current season and retro jerseys, and depending on where you live, you can get 7 to 12 day delivery time, as well as a 30-day money back guarantee. But if you do want to get in contact, check any of the details before you buy, they have got their email and WhatsApp on the site. If you use code Atlantis at checkout, you will get a 10% discount for a limited time, so I'll leave it linked in the eye above and in the description below. So when watching Nmecha, he does resemble Moussa Dembele in terms of having a tall 6'3" frame, broad upper body, close ball control and the ability to drive into space, all being stylistically similar to the former Tottenham man. Now Nmecha without a doubt definitely has dribbling ability, and from the eye test you can see how he could evolve into an athletic ball carrier, so he does certainly fit the mould of what United would be looking for in a central midfielder. However, the issue I have is that I just don't think he's currently at the level needed to warrant that sort of price. Technically, his close ball control under pressure and ability to drop a shoulder and spin out of pressure is very good, but I don't think his dribbling alongside his ball carrying ability is at the level needed to make up for other parts of his game being fairly average, and we can see this when we look at his FBref report. See, when it comes to beating players with his dribbling in congested areas, this is probably Nmecha's best attribute, and we can see this by the fact that he ranks around the 80th to the 85th percentile range for his successful take-ons and the percentage of successful take-ons he completes. However, I would like to see him carry the ball into space a lot more frequently, as for someone who you'd class stylistically as a ball-carrying box-to-box midfielder, his carrying metrics are quite disappointing, ranking between the 40th to 50th percentile range for his progressive carries and his carries into the final third, and just the 16th percentile for his carries into the penalty area. Now this doesn't completely write him off, but for the sort of money we would be talking about to sign him, if we are signing a central midfielder for £40 million or more, they either need to be an elite ball carrier, someone like an Andy Diouf at Lens for example, who has the ability to transition the attack quickly through the centre of the pitch after a turnover, or when the high press is beaten and the space is there to exploit. Or even someone who, even if they aren't putting out top level ball carrying metrics, is at least making up for it with their progressive passing. But looking at Nmecha's passing section of his FBref report, whilst he is certainly a very tidy passer, being a competent long passer especially, as seen by the fact that he completes 77% of his long passes, which sits in the 92nd percentile, his passes into the final third are around the 70th percentile, but his other progressive passing and chance creation metrics are only around the 40th percentile or below. And that's what concerns me with Nmecha. He's 24 years old, 25 in October, and whilst when watching clips of him you can certainly see why Manchester United would be considering him, as he does have the press resistance and the physicality and athleticism that United would need, but his output for me is just not consistent enough, especially when it comes to his ball carrying and his progressive passing. If he was a 20 to 21 year old who cost between 15 to maybe a maximum of £25 million, I would say that it would be worth taking the risk, because Nmecha definitely has the underlying skill set to develop into a more technically astute version of Joel Linton. But at 24, soon to be 25, for £35 million at least, maybe upwards of £40 million, I think United need a more complete and overall just more refined player if they are looking for an Ederson alternative. And there is actually someone who I think could be a better option, who I did do a video on either last summer or the summer before, and I actually had forgot about him. But having gone back through his FB ref reports as well as watching some of his clips, I've come to the conclusion that this guy is massively underrated. And not only would I say he's better than Nmecha, but I'm pretty sure that United could also get him for a lower fee. But before I tell you who that is, a quick reminder, I do have a Patreon where I upload articles on niche but interesting topics. I also have an in-game Instagram analysis group chat, so if you do want to sign up, you can get a 7-day free trial. I'll leave the Patreon linked in the description, comment section, above, and on the end screen after the video. So who is this player? Well, it's Roma's 23-year-old, soon to be 24-year-old in May, French midfielder Manu Kone. Now Kone is on loan from Borussia Mönchengladbach, but Roma do have an obligation to buy at the end of the season for around 18 million euros, which would take the total transfer fee they would have paid to around 20 million euros, which is around 17 million pounds, which means that United could probably land Kone this summer for around 30 million pounds, which would be substantial profit for Roma within just 1 year. But why exactly do I believe that Manu Kone is a better option than Felix Nmecha? Well, you are going to see why when I show you his FB ref report, but from the eye test, you'll notice that Kone is incredibly two-footed, to the point where it's actually sometimes hard to tell which is his stronger foot. Now in terms of stylistics, he is similar to both Nmecha and Ederson, but kind of in different ways, in the sense that he is a ball-carrying box-to-box midfielder. However, I do think he's a level above Nmecha, because whilst the Dortmund man is pretty press-resistant when receiving the ball under pressure with his back to goal, Kone is a lot more fluid and effective in these situations, reminding me aesthetically of more of a slender version of Eduardo Camavinga, having the ability to twist and turn, seemingly able to wrong foot pressing players without even moving the ball, just by using a drop of the shoulder and his body movements. And so like Nmecha, Kone would improve Amorim's system in the build-up phase and in the middle third, being the type of player who is comfortable when receiving the ball to feet under pressure in a congested area. But where Kone really stands out in possession is his ball carrying ability into open space, so much so that I'm actually starting to come around to the idea of pursuing Kone over Ederson, because in this particular area, from when I watched him in the Bundesliga, he seems to have improved further, and we can see this when we look at his FB ref report. Like Nmecha, Kone ranks highly for his successful take-ons, but unlike Nmecha, he's actually more effective when it comes to his ball carrying, as seen by the fact that he ranks in the low to mid 90th percentiles for both his progressive carries and carries into the final third, whilst also sitting in the 85th percentile for his carries into the penalty area. And this is why I'm actually starting to lean towards Kone as my #1 target over even Ederson, and not just because of the price. I'll do an updated video comparing the two, as I'm not 100% at the moment, but after looking into Kone some more, I've realised how underrated he is. In possession, he's press resistant, has the athleticism and physicality you'd want in the Premier League, whilst also probably being one of the best ball carrying midfielders in Europe right now, with the stats certainly backing that up. His progressive passing isn't the strongest part of his game, so I'd definitely consider him more of an Ederson type of central midfielder, a box-to-box ball winner type, than a Adam Walton, someone who's going to be more of a deeper line playmaker, but his ability to seamlessly play off either foot and circulate the ball efficiently certainly gives him an advantage over more industrious players like a Manuel Ugarte. Now if you look at his defensive metrics from the past 365 days, he certainly doesn't stand out, being a low volume tackler and interceptor, and only ranking around the 45th percentile for the percentage of dribblers he has tackled. However, if you look back to his defensive section of his FB ref report from last season in the Bundesliga, you'll see that he ranked in the top 1% for the percentage of dribblers he had tackled, and even the season before it was around the 70th percentile. And this is backed up from the eye test as well, because Kone is a tenacious tackler who is very good at stopping attacks and winning loose balls in the centre of the pitch, and considering he does have a high level of athleticism, physicality, and is also quick across the ground, like I said with Ederson and Boudaoui in previous videos, which I'll leave linked in the eye above in case you do want to check them out, just for reference, Kone would definitely suit sitting behind the ball in the rest defence, allowing Ugarte to be the more front foot of the double pivot, looking to push out into the counter press, with Kone sitting behind and looking to shuttle across to stop attacks before they get into the final third. And so comparing Kone for Nmecha, even factoring out the price, I'd prefer Kone because not only is he a better ball carrier, but I also think he's more press resistant, as well as being better defensively as a ball winner as well. Factor in the price, and I think you have to take Kone all day long, because I think anything over 25, certainly 30 million pounds, let alone 40 million for Nmecha, is vastly overpriced. Nmecha's skill set, in my opinion, is too centred around his dribbling ability, and I don't think defensively he's as good as the likes of Boudaoui or Kone, with both players also being superior ball carriers as well. And I would even say that someone like Andy Juve, who would only cost maybe 50 to 60% of the price of Nmecha, and is also a few years younger as well, is a better ball carrier and dribbler as well, would also be a better option. And so when you look at the other options on the market, as well as the price tag, I just can't justify signing Nmecha for Manchester United this summer. It seems like a transfer that on the surface looks like a good deal, but delve further in and make some comparisons, and I just can't see it being an optimal transfer for United. So let me know who you prefer out of the options I've mentioned when compared to Nmecha, and if you do want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to Dragon Jersey. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a 10% discount, and if you do want to sign up to read my articles or get into the in-game Instagram group chat, I'll leave my Patreon linked on the end screen now, along with another video as well.